don't need I don't need pants.
No.
I don't need the pants.
When he talks, it's so cute.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
very
glad you're scared.
Welcome to our super spooky, the spookiest of spooking events.
It's our Halloween spectacular.
It's so spectacular. We have the witch twins down there. We have the number one waifu, and your boy dressed as a butt plug. You know how it be. So, what are we discussing today? What are we talking about? What, you guys didn't see that one coming?
About Beetlejuice.
Yes, Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Don't say it 3 times.
Just say it!
Let's do the boring facts, shall we? As I'm totally not clicking different files because I
What? No, that's not how we do things here.
that
We don't
Disclaimer
read off of
first time.
phones
We don't
or
read off
computers or whatever.
So
First time.
Beetlejuice was released
time.
on March 30th of '88. It grossed in the box office 74.2 mil. The budget was 15 mil, so obviously it made its money back, which is usually the thing that you want to do in productions. So let's read the plot, shall we? Barbara and Adam Maitland They moved into a fucking city, a new town, and they have Goth Queen in Connecticut, yes. But they have Goth Queen Winona Ryder as their daughter, which is the only reason why I was ever interested in this movie, and the only reason why I'm interested in the girl that I'm interested in nowadays. But so they move in.
Stole my
and
heart at a very young age.
Yeah, she did. She sold everybody's
Formative
heart.
loves.
They move into a home that is haunted by some very new ghosts that don't know exactly what to do because they didn't read the manual. They're the only ghosts in history of existence that has not properly read the manual.
You probably haven't even read through the manual completely yet.
They want to kick these people out of their home, but they suck at it. So they hire a demon, maybe? Question mark.
A guy who likes possessions.
Yes, he possesses
Of some sort.
He possesses people
A
quite
bio
good.
exorcist. I'm sorry.
A bio exorcist. Yeah.
Are you a ghost too?
I'm the ghost with the most, babe.
And shenanigans ensue. That's pretty much the movie.
Michael Keaton goes crazy.
This is an amazing performance by Michael Keaton. I love every little thing that he did. He was phenomenal. Everybody in the film was great. I don't think there was a single actor or actress that did not give it their all for this film. It was amazing.
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that.
I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
The movie definitely was an amazing world onto its own, which is something that someone as a used to be great director as Tim Burton would make. You felt that you were in the Beetlejuice world, if you will. You felt that you were into this the afterlife, and everything had a reason and a purpose for it. The dead all had jobs. You can see how they died. Their manifestation in the afterlife gave impressions and was justifiable by their own individual deaths. The makeup, the sets, everything was perfect and guided towards the characters. And the boring world was a boring world, and the interesting death world was interesting and death worldy. Yeah.
Tim Burton is a favorite of mine for sure. everything. I think the thing I always appreciate so much about a Tim Burton film is everybody knows it's a Tim Burton film. Even if you didn't know he was involved in it somehow, you're like, I think Tim Burton might have worked on this. You're like, yeah,
He's
he
very
did.
stylistic in his
Yeah.
approach.
He's made his mark in a very profound way. A lot of the art and the imagery and the mood and the lighting and things from a very novice perspective, of course. I notice these things consistently, so I enjoy a lot of his stuff. And this, I think, is one of the more iconic ones with Edward
Yeah.
Scissorhands maybe and some of the others, like the classics. It won an Oscar. So it's a great movie, and I love what he does. I love that he's so consistent, and apparently he started out at Disney as an animator, which, you know, you can still see his collabs with them frequently on other things.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I think despite the fact that there's a lot of another stylistically strong category coming from Disney where you can kind of tell it's a Disney flick, he maintained his authenticity, and I appreciate that. So.
Oh, for sure.
In
You can always tell, especially in the films, he has always these spiral designs. He has stripes, like anything striped. He's always putting that in every single one of his films. He's got very unique, and they're almost in every single one of his films, different things. Like I know this is a different movie, but like the iconic Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's the spiral that Jack walks down. That's almost in every single one of his films.
The hill
Uh-huh.
style, yeah. And I think the other thing that you see a lot with the creatures and things is there's this like toothy appearance. Especially you can kind of see it very stylistically with the sandworm and the sandworm's teeth, and that again with like the worm and the worm and the worm is kind of his style. Like I don't know if it was an alien throwback. If they were like, oh, we love Tim Burton, we're gonna do that. But it also feels a little lighthearted. It's not horrific for the sake of giving you hideous nightmares. It makes you kind of happy to live in a dark world. I don't know. It's nice.
He does make light of the darkness, I guess, or make darkness not scary. Which is, I guess, all those people that like to play in the dark now have something that they say, look, it's not terrible, and all these assumptions you have of all these gothic kids out there isn't, you know, all, even though there was like darkness does not mean the end, or does not mean in of itself like death, that people, which it is some attraction to. Death is an attraction to a lot of people, but it again, I guess simply, so I don't put words in my mouth, it's putting the darkness in its own light, in its own world that says it's okay for you to be here.
Yeah, because also they were doing like a little bit of like witty jokes, especially when they came to that little office, and then that file room with the guy that's in charge of the file room, and he just made like a little joke. Yeah, I'm just looking a little flat because the way he died before he came to the afterlife was he got ran over apparently, because there's like tire tracks all around him, and then he just went inside his office, which is just like a little paper.
Look, there are no mirrors on this side.
Fine, look fine.
Yeah?
Fine.
Thanks. I've been feeling a little flat.
Yes,
He
no,
just
those
got
still
filed away in the file pile.
It's like it's the world of, you know, it's the afterlife and it's death, but you know, there's like jokes. They're still having fun while they're dead, basically.
It's a thing that nowadays I've seen here and there where you can't talk about specific things. Taking a little bit away from the film here, but it's like whenever when I was young, it was like, oh, there's a person in a wheelchair, and like I was not allowed to say that person's in a wheelchair or anything along those lines, and like why you shouldn't make fun of somebody for being in that specific, you know, situation or whatever, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just one of those things that it's just because you point it out and this child is curious does not mean that you should avert them from that. It's like, oh yeah, that person's in a wheelchair, that's perfectly normal. You know, same thing with like my sister has Down syndrome, and when I was a kid, a lot of people would always say something, and my mom was immediately quick, like, yeah, that's how she's born, and that's who she is. This is exactly the person she is. And, you know, she was raised like any other person. Like, it wasn't special treatments or anything along those lines. Obviously, you know, a heed to the disabilities that they have, because, that, you know, that is how life works. You shouldn't be like, oh, you're in a wheelchair, just climb up the stairs. Like, that's, you know, you, that's not the same that's not the same conversation. But they shouldn't be adhered to any negativity, and just talking about it in of itself is not negative. And
Right.
I think that these movies, again, going back to that tone, and like puts a greatness into, like, it's fine to talk about the darkness. It's okay. It's part of our lives. I mean, we're good at hiding it now because we're not butchering our food and the plaza for everyone to eat, and, you know, we don't see what happens as our cell phones are being made, and we don't know the process that our genes took to make, and the downward spiral of a lot of things, because it's okay to hide it behind the flag of America, I guess. I was gonna say a different word. It's not communism, capitalism. That's the word I was thinking of. It's like the flag of capitalism kind of hides a lot of those darknesses away. So it's easy to inverse ourselves into a world that's not that dark. But it's all around us, and it's fine. It's okay. Poking back on the Tim Burton thing, I love Tim Burton. Let me start with that. Now let me rip on Tim Burton now. Tim Burton is amazing, and I think same thing that happened with Tim Burton that happened with Johnny Depp. Amazing actor, so amazing that people kept paying them to do the same thing over and over again, and now they're stuck as that. Tim Burton, this movie is a great example of what I'm about to say, versus something like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That's an example. So when they're in like the sand the sand world that doesn't have an explanation, I guess, like going outside of your haunt, that dimension, going into the afterlife world where there's the receptionist and everything, that all has a specific tone. Like, that has a setting. The themes all look the same. It's amazing. And then when you go to the real world, everything's, you know, it's a house. It's a normal house. There is the Tim Burton aesthetic where, like, oh, let's grandiose the house and put in all this art and beautifulness into it. And, like, it gives it a gothy tone, I guess, if you want to say that.
It's a white house, but it's very gothic.
Yes, eccentric flair,
Yeah.
but
Well,
you
it's so
still
dark inside.
feel
That's true.
that it's
That's
a
very
normal
true.
home. At the beginning, it was a very cookie cutter home. I think that was the reason why the model was used. Like, this is a model home. We're looking at this city, at the village, at the city, like a model, because everything is bland, and that's the point. But when you go into Willy Wonka territory, and it's the world is bland, the chocolate factory is bland, this is everything is bland and creepy and twisted, then you're not separating the wonderfulness of your world with the mundanity of normal life, because these are mundane people who are put in an extra circumstance, like supernatural circumstance, and now that is their lives. That is why we are tuned to these films. That's why we like all these Tim Burton-esque films. You don't get that with the newer stuff that I'm noticing.
Right.
Everything is creepy, everything gets twisty, and everything has spirals, and everything has sharp contrasting stripes. In the older ones, they serve their purpose. They had their time to shine. I'm off my soapbox now. I'll drink my coffee and shut up.
No, I can see where you're coming from, and I definitely agree that there's.
You said kinda. I feel like you don't agree
Huh?
with me. You said kinda.
Oh,
I feel like you don't agree with me.
50-50.
Jesus, look at me.
Let me write my suicide letter eloquently.
I am utterly alone.
No flair. No.
Throw back to the film now.
No, I agree because I do see a lot of the same themes in every single Tim Burton movie, but in some like okay in what is it the Corpse Bride, they do have it is separate, like the dead world and then the alive world,
Yeah.
but they have a lot of the same colors, a lot of the same tones, but it is you do see a bit of a difference, but it is more understated.
Yeah, because like
in this movie.
in Nightmare, like I mean, Christmas Town was Christmas Town. Like
yeah, you could not like mistake that from the real world or from Halloween Town. Or
and there is I think an iconic Burton like trope is make the other world clash with the real world. And like when all the kids were getting their presents, it's a normal house now, but here's all these creepy ass things. The tone changes, the color changes. The same thing with like the possessions and when Beetlejuice was doing his circus act and being dramatic, and like he was taking the real world and manifesting to his will. So that's that clash, that classic Tim Burton like boom of two worlds, which is where the conflict starts.
You get a lot of more interesting things happening. It's I agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do. I totally agree. I don't kind of agree. I totally agree.
Picky up.
Yeah. Haven't you ever noticed that the as much as I would want to be a goth kid, I'm not. I like not the kid at heart. That a lot of
because of this movie,
a lot of
this movie, because of Addams Family, because of a couple different things. But yeah, I wanted to be the kid so bad.
Their aesthetic is really proper. Like take high society, but just drape it in black. I
love that she's always wearing. Lydia is always wearing veils. I love that. That is so cool. You don't
like
see
the
that.
mesh and the veils and the crazy
and
hats.
the crazy hair. She has her hair like this, kind of like her bangs and stuff. And then she's got this.
I
love it.
Let's.
Even Jeremiah said he thought it was like Sunday best, but golf.
Yeah, Lydia definitely was.
It was dressed up and beautiful, but dark.
There's a
in theme, in tone. The only other thing I wanted to say that, and it's kind of back on the Tim Burton a little bit. I know we've been talking about the aesthetic because I think that's the first thing everybody thinks when they Tim Burton. What does it look like? It doesn't even matter half the time what they're saying. Just turn the sound off and watch it. It's like art. It's beautiful. It's dramatic, impactful kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But for me, I feel the part that always it kind of warms my heart when these are dark toned movies is that Tim Burton, I think, gives voice or life to these dark characters, these dark themes. You get to see the beauty in the darkness. There's a simplicity. There's a generosity. There's like an obvious compassion and a heartfelt love that you can see in these dark characters, and you just, I don't know, you really appreciate that. And I like the fact that it's almost a juxtaposition that it's dark and you should be scared, but then it's beautiful and it makes you happy. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's good for everybody to think of things in multiple ways. So he does really well with that.
There's always a romanticism to the darkness. It shouldn't be heard of romanticism. And I feel that that's Lydia has a lot of those elements within the film. Oh, here's the thing that I heard that I've never done at all in any of the things that I've ever filmed. But if you take all the sound off of your film and people can still make sense of it, that means that that's visually a good movie. If people can follow the plot without knowing any audio cues, you're like, oh, cool, there you go.
Yep.
Thing that apparently works. I don't fucking know. I'm not a director.
Well, and honestly, in all the horror trope movies that you see these days, without those big jump scares, how much
Yeah, we're gonna
like if we're not gonna completely cut out all the sound and make the sound of a door shutting sound like someone just crashed an airplane, then you're not gonna jump.
The fake jump scares are hidden. Yeah.
There are very
It's
few
a little weak.
There are very few modern horror movies that do like the sound effects, the sound style and everything really well. One of those is Hush. But anyways, that's off on a different
Okay,
subject.
we'll add
It's a
Hush to
really
the
good
list.
movie. We need to watch that.
We'll add Hush to the list. I wanted to go back on Jeremiah's Sunday best. Use a little anecdote. When I was in high school, when I was in high school waiting for the bus to pick me up at the bus stop there, because all the kids have to go to like one location. There was this schoolmate, I guess it wasn't a classmate, but a schoolmate who was very, very Texan. He had on his hat and he had on his boots and he's a Texan. There you go. That's the image of the guy. And there was walking a person with she had on like half her head was shaved. She had on like it wasn't a mohawk situation, but it was that industrial look where like your head shaved here, but your sideburns are still long. She had green hair. She had the what do they call the trip pants. She had on probably some industrial, like very industrial looking, for sure. Which I wouldn't call a goth, but people would because everything's goth as long as you wear goth.
There's a lot of people who don't know what goth is, but that's okay.
If it's different, it's goth.
It's different as goth. So it's a kid who's like, oh god, I would never date a girl like that. And my first thought was like, why the fuck would she date you? You sound like a jackass. Even more because I'm controlling the narrative of the story, so I'm making you sound like a jackass. But my thought was like, why? Why wouldn't you go out with her? And like, look, she put, and as she's walking by on her headphones, not paying attention to the fucking conversation, like, look, she in me with blue jeans, boots, and like a Cannibal Corpse t-shirt, like I obviously adhere to that aesthetic more. And it was like, why wouldn't you? She's like, oh, look at how she's dressed. She obviously doesn't take care of herself. She doesn't put any effort into what she's wearing. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, those pants are like at least $100. Like, those are designer pants, right? The trip pants are expensive. The hairstyle takes effort to put. The hair color. Back to Jeremiah's Sunday best.
This is reminding me of SLC Punk.
A little bit, yeah. It's like I have a theme. But it's their Sunday best. They are wearing their best outfit. This is the aesthetic that they want to achieve.
They chose that they like. Yeah.
The makeup that they put on, the clothing they put on, it's awesome. It's beautiful. That's all I wanted to say about that. It popped into my head.
Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
We have a couple of fantastic actors just acting their pants off in this. First, we have a young Alec Baldwin, which I gotta say, I've seen some of his more recent stuff. I'm not crazy about it. It feels like he does the same thing over and over again. In this movie, he acts so crazy and I love it. He's trying to be like the logical person who's trying to go, well, this is what we need to do, or we need to get these people out of the house, so let's like do just simple stuff. Let's do the sheets and everything. But he does it in a straight man way, straight faced way, He's the straight man to all of the craziness that's happening. And oh my god,
I did not know it was him.
I know.
I had a look. I'm googling. Like, was that really Baldwin?
Him.
Oh shit, it was. Oh my god.
When he was young.
Yeah.
And his contrasting partner is Greena Davis, which Greena. Why did I say Greena? It's Greena Davis. No, it's Gina Davis. Gina Davis. She's amazing. I love her in so many different movies, but in this one, she's got the comedic chops to do this. She's acting. She's acting hilarious, and she's very dry in her deliveries a lot of times. The character is super caring towards Lydia. She wants these people out of her house, but she doesn't want to do it at the expense of this young girl because she likes her, and she's like, I don't want to traumatize her. And so the characters are really just those two characters alone are really interesting, and I could follow them around and watch them try to haunt people for hours. I love that their idea of haunting at the dinner table is making them dance and sing and do this crazy elaborate thing.
Yes, it's fucking hysterical.
And then the prawns.
Yeah, I have thoughts about the specific music used, but yeah.
And then, of course, we have Michael Keaton.
Batman.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
What a ridiculous man. Did you know that 90... Oh, sorry, we're out of...
Oh, focus.
There.
Can't talk about Michael Keaton.
Apparently, Michael Keaton just possessed my webcam.
Yeah.
So, Michael Keaton ad-libbed about 90% of his lines. And this movie is about Beetlejuice, and he's only in it for 14.5 minutes. I think that's what it said. I was like, are you serious?
Also, his iconic look was only one out of 15 suits that he wore.
Yeah.
Just letting you know that.
Yep.
I think it was I think he just wore that in the beginning of when he came to the real world.
Yeah.
That's I think he wore it for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe less. And
2
then that was
minutes
it.
out of this hour,
but
30
it's what
minute
everybody
movie.
remembers about him. He's the striped guy.
I think that sticks to the cartoon show.
Yeah.
Which the cartoon show is it's a different story for me.
I don't know. I've never seen it. But in this movie, he goes absolutely crazy. His character is disgusting. You hate this guy as soon as he comes on screen because he starts sexually harassing Gina Davis. Barbara.
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Gina Davis, yeah. First try, yep.
First try, yeah.
But he starts sexually harassing her, and he's all over these two people, getting all up in their personal space, and you're like, hey, this guy just creeps me out. And of course he's being disgusting as well, spitting in his jacket and saying, I'll save that for later.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
I mean,
so,
he's vile, and that's the point. That is the exact
the point.
point.
You don't want to like him at all, and you don't.
Yeah.
And then of course, you have Winona Ryder, which she's so young here.
Angel.
But I love her. She's giving all of these witty responses to her parents and just embracing her dark nature, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And she's but she's also a teenager, and you could totally tell this because she's saying, I don't want to live in a haunted house. Maybe you do.
No, yeah. She definitely owned that role, very well.
Yes. I don't think if you put anybody else in that role, I don't think they would have done half a good job as her. Because oh my gosh. She's just amazing. So all of these characters are very well defined. You know exactly what their motivations are. You know exactly who they are in this world, and they fit perfect. I can't say I was taken out of the experience from their acting alone. That did not happen at all in this movie.
Yeah, they were the characters that you wanted them to be in this world, and that's who they were. It was very believable within the material that you had. They existed in this world. They existed both in the real world and the afterlife, and anything that transitioned in the middle, they owned it and they worked phenomenally. I also want to make sure that we give Sylvia, who played Juno, credit, because that iconic chain smoking like hard working woman who has no time, who's just fucking out of patience, our classic darling, like she owned the fuck out of that role. And then Odo, Glenn, I liked him for every little thing that he was. He's just so snooty and way into everything he did. He didn't know what the fuck he was saying, but he said it with confidence, and I love that about him. And I think what's his name?
Characters are great.
Jeffrey Jones. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that he's in. He always plays like that specific like I came from money person, and
been a villain in other movies because he's got those iconic eyes.
Yeah, he's never disappointed me. Every time I see him, he's like, oh, he's that guy, and he's always like he's just a good actor. He like that's there's nothing I can add or say. He's just a good actor.
Yeah, he's fantastic in everything he does. And then of course the mother, Catherine O'Hara.
Great cast for that specific mother type.
Snooty, thinks she has all the right answers. She knows exactly what to do with the aesthetic of this house and everything. Yeah. She's got all these sculptures she's trying to sell, and I'm like,
dangerous art.
This is my art, and it is dangerous. You think I want to die like this?
They're dangerous.
Art is dangerous.
It's not gonna die. Yeah. And she thinks she's all that, and then a critic comes to dinner and he's flat out tells her, you are just like the worst person and I hate you. It's not, I'm paraphrasing.
Are you talking about her agent?
Yes.
That was
agent. Her
agent. I'm sorry. Art critic, agent.
Yeah. Well, they had a critic there too, but I was just going to say the fact that the person on her team's like,
Yeah, no, it's, they gave that, you have to sell this product. You have to sell like that, as most movies will have that thing of, it's urgent, you have to do it now in this time period. You know, like, you have 1 hour until the world explodes. Like, they gave it that, like, you have to sell this pitch. This is
urgency.
Your last, this is your last pitch, you have to sell it. And going on, like, speed, the movie, I think, was a good pace. I was never bored. Everything was interesting. It definitely, it had its MacGuffins, like the book. Whatever the book needed to do, the book did. As it's fine. That's not a critique to the movie. It's just, here's the thing. There is the Deus Ex Machina at the end, where like, how do we defeat Beetlejuice? The worms. Why? Yeah. The worms. They did it. Go. Bye. But how do they go from
Beetlejuice zapped her there, and she was like, oh hell no, I'm not taking any.
Yes, which was like awesome part. But it's like, how did the worms go into from
movie?
There's 3 dimensions. There's the outside the house dimension, the afterlife dimension, and the real world. And how do they? We've seen these interact, but we've never seen these two interact. And when they stop interacting, how does everything get fixed? What? How does a man go back into the?
No,
don't worry about it.
No, there's a simple answer to that.
Oh, what's up?
So,
it's just worms. That's it.
The writer wrote it that way.
This is why we pay you the big bucks, big brain thinking right there.
That's why I got them glasses.
Which is
and what about the potato minister?
The potato minister is great.
The dark potato comes from the wall and back to the wall, just like that.
That's all. Like, all right, I guess I'm. And you can like, even tell from his just like, I guess I'm not needed.
He was just kind of there. And then when Beetlejuice got defeated, got eaten by the worm, it was like, oh, okay, they're being happy now.
Get a bit now.
Bye. It just disappears.
Oh man, yeah, great.
The movie is 92 minutes, and it is filled every single minute with something interesting. Yeah. So you didn't feel like it was dragging at all.
Beetlejuice. Go ahead, Barbara, say it. Beetlejuice.
I would not say this movie's for all ages, as it's being marketed as a PG film, which is very much not a PG film. Even in that time frame, let's ignore. You can't, but like it's just like Beetlejuice is a fucking asshole and a shitty individual, and like he is the villain. And it's one of these weird things with these like late 80 or mid 80 movies as well, that the the most interesting individual, the movie is named after them, and now it's like, oh, I love Beetlejuice. Like, why? Why did you say those words? He sexually assaulted somebody, and he wants to. He's okay with anything as long as he gets his way. Why was that a good
teenager?
Yeah. And like in the original writing, like the original intent was he wanted to go, like I'm reading this, like the original writing, he was going to attempt to rape Lydia. That was the original writing of the film. The two writers that wrote this were essentially stuck in a home, which you can get back to that one scene was like, I just want to watch my birds. Like, just leave me alone.
Can't you see I'm relaxing in here?
Well, I want to tell you what I saw.
What is the point of my coming up here if you people won't let me relax?
Like, so the two writers were stuck with their family, couldn't escape the situation, and then vomited Beetlejuice. And then, after rewrites and it went into production, etc. But like, so being trapped in your home was the main influence for the film, which you can tell by those two characters being trapped in a home and trying to get people out of it. Like, that was the main inspiration for this film. But it was not it's not a movie. It's not PG. It's fucking not. It's I think it's a fun movie and it's a great aesthetics. And I do think that that how Beetlejuice was portrayed was excellent. I think they could have toned down maybe a little bit on the harassment, just because I'm a snowflake.
Maybe that's why it was turned into a PG, because of just the harassment that he does, and the way he does, especially the very first time he got introduced, when he just started to basically, I don't want to say softly, but really just molest.
Yeah,
was her name Barbara?
Yeah,
yeah, like molest her a little bit, just here and there, and then that scene when he was a snake, and he saw Lydia, and he just want to get with Lydia.
Like, oh, now that one.
No,
it's like she's a.
It was
creepy as fuck.
I'm guessing that's why it was a PG, but
it should have been like a fucking at least PG-13 at least. But back in those days, that's
1988.
Women can't stand up for themselves. That's perfectly normal. It's just locker room talk.
It's fun. It's a goofy movie.
It didn't age well in that aspect, for sure.
The aesthetics are beautiful, and I think we can overcome those. And there's also going into the score of this. So Danny Elfman, I believe, right? Don't make me a liar.
I don't remember. He was the one.
Don't tell me I'm lying. Yes, Danny Elfman. I'm looking at my tabs. So, Danny Elfman did the original score for the film. And perfect, beautiful, relationship that Tim and Danny have that makes this aesthetic. As we were talking, the Tim Burton, powerhouse, you're just missing Johnny Depp and his ex. They divorced, right? I believe they divorced.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, never remember her name because it's weird for me to pronounce.
Helena Bonham Carter.
Helen Carter. There you go. Helena. Helena's a good song. It's an amazing Misfit song. Why don't I remember her name well? Whatever.
It's fine.
Which
I'll understand.
there is a beautiful aesthetic that Danny Elfman does with all his scores, which is like orchestral, like exciting, sad, and like gothic all at the same time, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. There's entire video essays on his work, so like why elaborate on it a lot? I want to pick on something where they're using Hardy's song Deo, which is if I recall correctly, a Jamaican song about people working night shifts, picking out bananas and putting them to their boats. And it's the reason why they picked that song, if I recall the information I read 20 minutes ago, was because like the licensing fee for it was like $300. So like, yeah, let's fucking use it. And they used two of his songs, Jumpin' Line and Deo, and I don't know. They're happy songs, and there's a part of me that's like, when you listen to this, you want to dance. It's exciting. You get the vibe of it. And then there's another part of me that's like, that has nothing to do with this. And like,
but it's fun songs.
It kind of feels like here's where I'm going. This is dangerous territory that I'm talking about right here. I'm way over my head. Way over my head in this conversation. But like, you getting this Jamaican man's music about the hardship that it is to be them and slight white man oppression in a movie where the only black man was very stereotypically voodoo. There's something about that does not age well at all. Just saying. So we're gonna use your culture and your music, and we're going to use a very bad stereotype that cinema has had about a religion, a culture. Sorry, religion wasn't the right word. A culture of people. But you get no speaking lines. Legitimately, you do not speak. You do not play anything in the movie other than comedic relief as a ha 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 ha. We're adventuring in somebody else's culture. Oh, look at how woke we are. 80s, I get the argument, but just saying, that's.
It doesn't fly today.
Yeah, just that's my snowflake side coming out. The special effects I thought were beautiful, especially for that time. The stop motion, the claymation, that is a amazing thing that's not used nowadays, just because CGI is a little bit more believable. But it has its aesthetic. It has its love back in those days. There was some things like when we were watching it, like a little bit of the green with the CGI. When the head was being shrunk, you can see the clipping.
When that head was getting shrunk, you could see the little green coming off. The
yeah, which is. Well, hey, what can you do? Technology.
I know, it's fine.
Just there, it's something that you're like, hey, look at that. You know, that's cute. Yeah.
I guess back in the day, especially with the timeline, 1988, I believe.
Yep.
That it came out. I guess when they were watching that new, it was like, wow. What? But it's 2020. We're watching that. It's 2020. We're watching that, so like, I see you, green screen.
Yes,
because we're spoiled now with all these amazing graphics and stuff, and effects.
We've seen the Avengers. I'm sorry.
Even though I would argue Star Wars came out 1970s, and graphics of Star Wars is just.
I don't know. Okay, I'm not gonna step in that boat.
I have just a little couple of trivia facts real quick. Take this with a grain of salt. This is from IMDb, so we don't know if these are true or not.
Is IMDb is like Wikipedia where you can just put in bullshit? Ah, okay, cool.
The studio originally wanted to call the film House Ghosts. As a joke, Tim Burton suggested the name Scared Sheetless. And it was he was horrified that the studio actually considered it.
I mean, the movie was adulty. It had some adult themes, so.
Yeah.
No, I mean they were in bed sheets and stuff. Designer bed sheets that's got cut off in the eye.
The designer, and they have little eyes hole. Come down. So in the waiting room at the end of the film, the bottom half of the magician's assistant, that Beetlejuice tries to feel up, was played by Tim Burton's then girlfriend. So the legs were actually Tim Burton's girlfriend.
Just the legs.
Just the legs, not the body?
Nope, not the body, just the legs.
That's a heck of a film credit. Yeah, I was legs.
I was legs that got filled up. Yeah, my boyfriend put me into films for another guy to fill up my legs. That's what you just told me.
Pretty much.
Tim Burton
okay.
You tell me.
So along with Spaceballs, which was in 1987, Big, which was in 1988, and Caddyshack 2, which is in 1988, it is notable, this movie, for containing the F word in a film rated PG during the PG-13 era.
Really? When did they say fuck?
Said one F word.
I think he says it under his breath when he's running around in the...
I think so.
Model.
It doesn't say where he said it, but
Time to rewatch.
Oh, he says nice fucking model.
Nice fucking model.
And as much as he talked mess about it, I watched them dig that hole through all those different layers. That was a pretty great model.
That was.
That is a thing that should have been said. That is, yes, the sets for the models is beautiful. I love it. I also love the black background around everything because that's not important. The important thing is to focus in on the model sets and brings the attention to it. Like the fake grass when they were digging into the not the cardboard.
It was cork.
Comment about that.
Yeah, cork and then cardboard.
Then cardboard. Then
Jeremiah.
My little comment about that. It wasn't. I was like, wow. That's not that immersive because sure the fake grass with the foam was like wow that's good because they're basically in a miniature world and then underneath the fake foam grass it was the cork and then the cardboard box and then when they were trying to take it off there's this word that says fragile on it. It was like but why is it the same size as normal human size? Does it's supposed to be like a humongous letter A or little F? Since it's miniature, why is it this small?
Yeah.
God,
I think they were just doing that.
Not immersive enough. Movie ruined. 1 out of 10.
No. It could have been a huge F.
It was a huge F.
But
So. Yeah, so many awesome things about this movie. So many not so great, well, not so many, but a few not so great things about this movie.
What's up?
Yeah. No, that was
that was it. I thought you were going to go into like, well, this one scene someone fucking vomited. Or, I don't know.
I kind of like the aesthetic with the eyeballs on the tongue. I think that's really fun.
Yeah. If we can
when
just go
list
all the beautiful things that happen aesthetically wise. The monsters, Beetlejuice's makeup in of itself, he was grotesque. They made him a little bit puffier. Like all his shirts were like just too tight on him. The moss that was growing on him because he's been dead for a long time.
Yeah.
Every single person
looks like rot to me.
Yeah, rot. Okay.
Rot.
Every single person that that
was
died has a specific aesthetic to them. Like every single one just looked good. I also saw like some, I don't know if I will say inconsistency, but like there was so many makeup artists that like, how could you tell these little minute things? But at the beginning, his eye makeup, like the purple around his eyes versus in the beginning versus at the end, like the last scene, you see that the last scene was blended a lot more, and was like a different hue of that like rouge versus in the beginning where it's like literally just a circle. The reason why I say that is because when I cosplay Joker, I've noticed that specific style of makeup with the different brushing and different like techniques that you could do, and it was like, I don't know, it just bleh, cosplay, but
yeah, I agree. I was just gonna say, since you're talking about makeup, I kind of have a little question maybe for the group. So there was always something about Beetlejuice to me that there was something about the aesthetic, and I used to watch it and think, okay, he's pale, like you said, there's rot, there's something going on, like he's just corpse-like, right? That's it. And then towards the end, and I just picked up on it this time after watching it, I don't know how many times, I got the distinct impression that there was a clown thing going on, especially when there's like the big top circus thing. You know how there's like kind of an exaggerated nose sometimes, and then the dark eyes, and like I was like, he reminds me of a clown.
Could it be?
I don't know. Is that totally off? Did you guys feel any of that, or was it just all corpse?
I just saw a corpse. I never saw a clown, but I mean, there could be some
see
clown aesthetic in there.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of makes sense, or maybe like a clown or a ringmaster from a circus, maybe.
Circus for sure. Yeah. At the end, very circus.
Yeah, it makes sense. Though I have a question for you guys. So in 2020, if somebody hasn't watched this movie, would you recommend it?
Yeah. I will tell him, watch out. Beetlejuice is an asshole and he's a little rapey. Other than that, yeah, go watch the film. That's a big warning. That's a big fucking warning. But no, 100%.
I definitely would recommend it. I think that some things don't quite hold up for today's standards. But, I still, I mean, we had a good time. We were laughing. All of us were during it.
Yeah.
We were commenting while it was happening, and just for being immersed in a movie alone, and the acting experience and the cinematic universe of this, it's worth it to watch.
I agree. I would say, like, you know, at least a teenager like age should watch it. Anything younger is probably a little inappropriate, but maybe even scary. It's weird thinking about it because the cartoon show, like Beetlejuice and Lydia are like best friends. And, you know, they go on hijinks and like they stop people from turning into like hairball monsters at a party because they're party monsters and stuff like that. And like they need to go throughout the city and like throw water throughout the pipes or something, or like take water away from the pipes. I forgot what it was. So like
Beetlejuice became the good guy.
Yeah, Beetlejuice became because it's marketable. The name makes money, so Beetlejuice needs to be franchised to something. And like I think that's appropriate for someone their age. But I think this movie it's good. It has some things that aren't that well received nowadays, and those things should be talked about. Why we shouldn't talk about those? You know, you shouldn't just pass a bill saying that you shouldn't talk about how racist the U.S. was and how they treated people of different ethnicities, and just say that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Talk about it.
Yeah. So
have a conversation.
One last question.
Yeah.
Random person. Lee. Rate this movie.
Ooh, on what scale?
You pick the scale.
You peek.
Bro, it's like we've never done this before. Come on.
I'm gonna pick a snake scale, and I'm gonna say beautiful and slightly dangerous, but respected. It's good stuff.
A snake scale. So what is it out of whatever?
Beautiful, slightly whatever you just said.
Yeah, like fresh after molting, beautiful new snake. That's the scale.
Fresh after molt. Beetlejuice. It's fresh after molting. That is
fresh after molting.
That is our.
That's the marketing for Beetlejuice.
That's the marketing for Beetlejuice.
Fresh after molting.
Yes. Even though his name is spelled like Beetlegeist or some shit like that.
Yeah.
it's like the star.
I do like that little thing, like if you know the demon's name, you have power over the demon. Maybe that's a little bit of why he didn't want to like just let everybody know.
Say
But
his
as soon as
name.
one person knows, because it's such an unusual fucking name, everybody knows now. So everybody has power over his name. But
But if you know what the name is, you could tell people. The logic there just doesn't make very much sense. But
No, I agree with Jeremiah. It makes sense because the writer wrote it that way.
the writer,
Yeah.
the writer wrote it that way. That's why it makes sense.
It's the best comment. I have one really silly question right at the end.
Yeah.
If you were gonna have a Beetlejuice party, right? Like have people over to watch the movie,
Sure.
what food would you serve that goes with the movie?
I'll go
Give me
hunting
one.
beetles and juice it.
Yeah, I was gonna say orange juice for sure for me.
Oh, I mean,
juice.
I will literally hunt
Mimosas.
the beetles and juice it.
Orange
By the
juice.
way, I have friends that can cook you a delicious cricket protein cake. It tastes amazing. I'm
I
just
love
letting
cricket
you know that I have friends that have done it. I've eaten off of that and gotten high.
So you think
besides
that's the pair?
No, well, mimosas,
Gummy
cricket
worm.
cake, gummy worms for sure. Also, you go to your craft store and you go into the kids section and it's the Halloween time and you get those like science kits that makes gummy brains and gummy like contraptions and like this. That's what you eat.
Gummy body parts.
Yeah, gummy body parts. Or there's liver moles and brain moles and heart moles and intestine moles. You just use
Or
those
just body parts.
but or legitimately just eat a penis.
I know.
It's true.
Rocky Mountain oyster.
Well,
So pretty much, you guys come to our Beetlejuice party because it's gonna be lit.
we got penises on the menu. Thank you guys so much for listening to us fuck around for an hour over this. Literally, our recording is 59:43 right now. So that's
We've had a fun time.
Beetlejuice.
But we've also
we
had-
recommended. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Spooky time.
Spooky time. Girl, hey, it's spooky time.
Hey guys, how
It's
are
our
you guys?
Halloween spooky time. Hello and enjoy our spookiness.